How about just the amount of like non-uniformed personnel and vehicles that were at the house during the crime scene?
Again, there was a parallel investigation. You have to understand what the feds go and investigate. Pull it up. Ask what the FBI investigates. Look at their 8 levels of criteria. Cross out the ones that don't make sense for what we know right now. And then look at the ones that are left. And then start throwing that into GPT with what we know of the Idaho 4. But also keep in mind, these operations are going on in many states right now and involving illegal immigrants in the trucking industry.
And what did SG say? I'll tee that one up for you.
National security.
Yep. And he said that they want to identify fingerprints. He specifically brought up truckers over on the border.
Yeah, they want to track every move from everybody, not just these college kids on apps. They want to track everybody, the real ID. They're pushing that, the immigration, the border, national security. Do you know that there was a group of people in that area that actually tried to plan a infiltration on a very important piece of, oh, how do I say this without getting banned? Very important piece of our nation's infrastructure in Idaho. If you don't know what facilities are out there, start Googling them. That would be a level of national security.
Can you give a little bit more context safely?
Supplies our electricity.
Okay. So that might be as well. Let's see if I can get a little bit bigger. All right. So these are the 8 things for the FBI's key criteria for involvement. Okay. Federal law violation. This says Idaho 4 match possibly because Koberger allegedly drove across multiple states. And if Ruggs, communications, or informants were involved, it does tick this box. That chuckle is just because it's like, okay, threat to national security, and it says 100% if any of the victims were tied to a federal rug op or knew about it. National security clause is invoked to bury this threat. I'm just laughing because it's like, guys, everything points to this. No wonder why they were on a freaking plane in what, 6 hours, Phoenix?
40 plus investigators were sent out there.
Okay, look at this. And then look at this.
And what did it say about the F word in there? Go up a little bit, that last line.
Federal? Which one?
Early rumors.
Early rumors tied frats to rug trafficking, if that's true, and it protected it. Yeah, because guys, I would argue too, if that is such a big hub, you would use like frat people. You would use people that are around a party scene. You'd use popular kids that maybe have low level rug charges, and you flip them, and you get them to cooperate, so that you tell them, you know, you have a clean record when you graduate and go get a job. And so this is interesting. Like, hold on, Phoenix. You want to know what I'm realizing? Every single one of SG's points justifies one of these 8. Have you noticed that? Every single thing that he brings up seems to check one of these boxes, because he talked about trucking and interstate activity and crossing the borders. He didn't say, why wouldn't he talk about Koberger crossing borders of states? No, he talked about truckers. Have you ever thought about that? Why did he not? Because Koberger crossed the border of states all the time. Why would he say truckers?
I'm 2 days ahead of you. Why do you think I told you to look into this?
Yeah, well, thank you. Yes, okay. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And I do like how it's like, I do appreciate like your Socratic method, Phoenix. It's very, it's helpful. Suspect's already a part of it. Or an analyst or an asset.
And what did he do? He studies what?
Predictive criminal behavior.
He was picked one of two of the top of his class by someone who studied the criminal minds of unalivings. How coincidental is that?
You know how I feel about coincidences and the definition of it being a mathematical term.
Absolutely. There is no coincidence.
There is none. I'm going to say it again. There's people that listen. They've heard me say it. I like to say this. And it's that the term coincidence is a mathematical term, which means coincide. And that means that two angles cannot fit together in any other way unless they are perfectly aligned. And the phrase of speech that we use it in really isn't accurate. So now, see, this is one too, where I'm like, okay, it's not applicable unless someone in the case was being silenced for speaking against protected targets. Well, could Kaylee check that box if she knew something and was telling people?
I told Adam everything.
Exactly. Exactly.
We're going to be in big trouble.
Yep. I mean, every box is checked so far. We have one more. Obviously, this one does. Major violent crime of national interest. Sorry. Got a text from Mrs. Birdie. And this is, here we go. Oops. Here we go.
Within hours.
This is I love how ChatGPT has like learned my style of typing and types it kind of back to me, which is, this is the do not F with us clause. So this is interesting. It says Idaho 4, this is the smoking pew pew. Even if one of those victims was involved in a sting or a WITSEC program or blew the lid on a covert op, which, okay, what if it really all comes down to Kaylee's comment? What if, who is Adam as far as like type of like duty is? Like is he like a square?
Adam
is he a partier?
Adam, the bartender, lived with Jack, I believe.
So does that mean that like, did Kaylee find out something about somebody either at a frat or in the house was protected or an informant and told it, and they're like, she didn't think it was a big deal or something?
I don't know, but Adam left town the next day, and so did Jack.
Guys, the amount of stuff that we've like picked through in these lives, this is exactly why I like doing the live digs, is because it's so hard to put them into a video and flow and kind of see the working thought process. So pretty much if you check boxes, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 8, you're not in a crime scene. You're in a federal operation with a cleanup crew. And this says in the Idaho 4, they didn't just tick those boxes. They blew them wide open.